that made it through, and I believe once again will make it through. I have the great honor and the distinct pleasure of introducing who I believe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Wow.
Thank you, Pastor. A great, great honor. And it's great to be here in Charlotte to discuss an issue that means so much to me. That's the issue of urban renewal, something you don't hear very much about, and the rebuilding of our inner cities. Today I want to talk about how to grow the African-American middle class and to provide a new deal for Black America. That deal is grounded in 3 promises: safe communities, great education, and high-paying jobs. My vision rests on a principle that has defined this campaign right from the beginning, and you've seen where we've come from and where we are right now. It's called America First. Every African-American citizen in this country is entitled to a government that puts their jobs, wages, and security first. I'm asking today for the honor of your vote and the privilege to represent you as your president. And I will not let you down. You watch. Here is the promise I make to you. Whether you vote for me or not, I will be your greatest champion. We live in a very divided country, but I will be your greatest champion. I have no special interest. I take no orders from donors or lobbyists. I put a lot of money into this campaign. Believe me, I'll be in for over $100 million. That's a lot. I work for you, and I work only for you. Our campaign is about change, optimism, and the future. I'm asking people to break from the bitter failures of the past and to imagine the amazing possibilities for our future and our future together. Our opponent represents the rigged system and the failed thinking of yesterday. Hillary Clinton's campaign offers only the depressing pessimism that says this is as good as it gets and it's never going to get better. She's been doing this for 30 years, and for 30 years it's only gotten worse. American politics is caught in a time loop. We keep electing the same people over and over and over. And they keep coming back to the African-American community and the Hispanic community, and they keep talking about what they're going to do, and they don't do it, and then 4 years later, you see them again. It's enough. They keep making the same mistakes, and they keep offering the same old, lame excuses when nothing happens. You know that. I know that. Frankly, everybody knows that. The fact that our corrupt Washington establishment has tried so hard to stop our movement, we have a major movement. There's never been anything like it in this country. And this is so important to me, what I'm saying today. I wanted a small group of very, very powerful, influential people from the African-American community, and that's what I wanted to do. Enough with the rallies of 25 and 30,000 people. This was very important to me. And I just met with some of the finest people I've ever met backstage. We had a great meeting, and I just want to thank those people right now. They are phenomenal people, so I want to say thank you very much. But it's just more proof that we represent the kind of change that arrives only once in a lifetime. This is a movement. It's once in a lifetime. Never going to happen again. Never going to have another opportunity. Every day I'm out on the trail proposing fresh solutions and new thinking. And every day the same people getting rich off our broken system tell us that we can't change and that we can't try anything new because it's not good for them. I have a message for all of the doubters in Washington. America's future belongs to the dreamers, not the cynics and not the critics. And it's time to extend that dream to every African-American citizen in this country. African-American citizens have sacrificed so much for our nation. They've fought and died in every war since the Revolution, and from the pews and the picket lines, they've lifted up the conscience of our country in the long march for civil rights. Yet too many, thank you. Yet too many African Americans have been left behind. Massive numbers have been left behind. 45% of African American children under the age of 6 live in poverty. 58% of African American youth are not currently employed. African Americans comprise roughly 13% of the population, yet make up 60% of murder victims under the age of 22. That's some number, isn't it, though? Some number. In 2015, violent crime in Charlotte increased by 18%, and it's expected to rise to 24% this year. In Chicago, nearly 3,500 people have been shot since January 1st of this year. It's not a very long time ago. Think of it, 3,500 people. The conditions in our inner cities today are totally unacceptable, and we have to fix them. The Democrats have run. The Democrats have run our inner cities for 50, 60, 70 years or more, uninterrupted. They've run the school boards, the city councils, the mayor's office, and the congressional seats. Their policies have failed, and they failed miserably. They've trapped children in failing government schools and opposed school choice at every single turn. The Clintons gave us NAFTA, one of the worst economic deals in the history of any country. It's taken our jobs, it's taken our companies, it's taken everything, so much out of our country. And China's entry into the World Trade Organization, two deals that truly deindustrialized America, uprooted our industry and stripped bare towns like Detroit and Baltimore and the inner cities of North Carolina, where we are really focusing. And by the way, you see the new polls coming out where we're really doing well, which is okay. Doing well. Thank you. We're going to win North Carolina, I'll tell you. We're going to win Florida. Actually, we're going to win Florida, too. We're going to win Ohio, and we're going to win Iowa. Yeah, we're winning a lot of states. You're getting a little worried back there, I'll tell you. The media is saying, what's going on over here? You have to see in Florida, they have lines that are 4 blocks long trying to get into the polling booths. They've never seen that before. And same thing in many other states that have started. This state has lost nearly half of its manufacturing jobs since Bill and Hillary's NAFTA. Think of it, half. Decimating, by the way, and they have been decimating the African-American community and the African-American middle class, decimated. These jobs went to Mexico and other places. Politicians. Democratic policies have also given rise to crippling crime and total violence. Then there's the issue of taxation and regulation. Massive taxes, massive regulation of small business, and radical restrictions on American energy have driven jobs and opportunities out of our inner cities and in many cases out of our country. Hillary wants to raise taxes very, very substantially on everybody and on business, and especially on small business as high as 45%, which will only drive more jobs out of your community, out of our country, and into other countries. One of the greatest betrayals has been the issue of immigration. Illegal immigration violates the civil rights of African Americans. That's what's been happening. No group has been more economically harmed by decades of illegal immigration than low-income African American workers. Hillary's pledge to enact open borders, made in secret to a foreign bank, WikiLeaks. This WikiLeaks is unbelievable. What we've learned about her and her people, what they've said about her behind her back, but now it's not behind her back. She's got bad instincts. According to John Podesta, Hillary Clinton has bad instincts. I wouldn't want my people saying those things. I wonder what they're saying. Is there some way we can check it out? No, they say terrible, terrible things about her. So, I mean, if they say that and they work with her all the time, why would we want her to be president? At the center of my revitalization plan is the issue of trade. Massive chronic trade deficits have emptied out our jobs. Just look at what's happened to Baltimore, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and right here in North Carolina. You know that for a fact. It's the greatest jobs theft in the history of the world. If I'm president and the executives at Ford Motor Company announce they're moving their plants and jobs to Mexico, I will pick up the phone and make a very, very simple call. I don't know if it's presidential, but I'd rather do it myself. And who cares? Who cares? It's funny. Very funny. Thank you. It's very funny. Very nice. He's screaming, make that call, make that call. Takes me 5 minutes. I'd rather do it myself. It'll get done properly. I will tell those executives that if they move their factories to Mexico, I will put a 35% tax on their product, which in this case is small cars. You know, they're moving their small car plants out of mostly Michigan, moving to Mexico. I mean, it's terrible. They're going to make their small cars. That's a big thing. It might be a small car, but it's a lot of business. Before they ship it back to the United States, so they're going to pay a tax, 35%. You tell them, and you know what? They're going to stay. They're going to stay. They're not leaving. They're not leaving. But nobody ever says that. And the politicians don't say that because they're getting campaign contributions from these people and their special interests. So they're not going to say that. Me, I'm saying it. I'm doing what's right. I'm working for you, folks. We're going to get this thing right. We're going to get it right. Such a big problem. Our jobs are leaving us, and people are being fired all over the country. Our plants, our factories are leaving us. We won't let your jobs be stolen from you anymore. Not going to happen. So easy. When we stop offshoring to low-wage countries, we raise wages at home, meaning rent and bills become instantly more affordable. At the same time, my plan to lower the business tax from 35% to 15% will bring thousands of new companies onto our shores. You'll have jobs. You'll have jobs back. It also includes a massive middle-class tax cut, tax-free child care savings accounts, and child care tax deductions and credits, and a total simplification of the tax code. I will also propose tax holidays for inner-city investment, a new tax incentive to get foreign companies to relocate in blighted American neighborhoods, and they will do that. It will be worthwhile. It's called incentive. They will do it. I will further empower cities and states to seek a federal disaster designation for blighted communities in order to initiate the rebuilding of vital infrastructure, the demolition of abandoned properties, and the increased presence of law enforcement so we have safety in our community. We need that. We need that. The safety is so bad. Some of our inner cities are more dangerous than some of the war zones that we're reading about and seeing about every night. We have to stop that. I will also pursue financial reforms to make it easier for young African Americans to get credit to pursue their dreams in business and create jobs in their communities. It's going to be beautiful. Such talent. There's such a potential talent out there. It's so incredible, and it's totally being wasted by politicians that maybe don't want to see it happen. Dodd-Frank has been a disaster, making it harder for small businesses to get the credit they need. You folks know that. The policies of the Clintons brought us the financial recession through lifting Glass-Steagall, pushing subprime lending, and blocking reforms to Fannie and Freddie. Two friendly names, but they're not so friendly. It's time for a 21st century Glass-Steagall, and as part of that, a priority on helping African American businesses get the credit they need. We will also encourage small business creation by allowing social welfare workers to convert poverty assistance into repayable but forgivable microloans. Very simple, but something so good. Then there's the issue of public safety. Making our community safe again will be a priority for the Trump administration. Safe. Thank you. I love you too. No, I mean, so many people. I mean, you walk to the store to buy a loaf of bread, maybe with your child, and you get shot. Or your child gets shot. Got to stop it. No good. No good. We need safety. I have heard and have listened to the concerns raised by African American citizens about our justice system, and I promise that under a Trump administration, the law will be applied fairly, equally, and without prejudice. There will be no prejudice. There will be only one set of rules, not a two-tiered system of justice like we have right now. You just see that with Hillary Clinton. I mean, think of it. Think of it. Think of it. She deletes 33,000 emails after getting a subpoena from the United States Congress, and she has no trouble. And in your community, you know what you're going through. Can you imagine if you did that? Can you imagine if I did that? I think they'd reinstitute the electric chair. Forget about you. How about me? Would I be in trouble? It is so unfair. It is so unfair that she's even allowed to run for the office of president. And then you probably read $675,000 went to the wife of the head of the FBI who was in charge of the investigation to her campaign. No, is this too hard to believe? I mean, went to the head of the FBI's wife who was in charge of the investigation of the Hillary Clinton email scandal. And then you wonder, gee, I wonder why she got off. That is a serious, horrible thing. Look, it's a horrible thing. It's not even believable. I have people, great lawyers, they can't even believe what's happening. The best evidence of unequal justice is that Hillary Clinton could violate so many laws, bleach and delete her 33,000 emails, and especially after the subpoena from Congress, lied to Congress, lied to the FBI, put her national security at grave risk. I mean, our national security was put at unbelievable risk with what she was doing, and not even face so much as a minor fine. Now think of it, a major general, a man 4-star general, that's about the top. General James Cartwright lied one time to the FBI, and he probably did it. He did it, in my opinion, for national security reasons. And he may go to jail for a 5-year sentence. Think of it, 5 years. He may go to jail for 5 years. One time to the FBI, she lied, looks like hundreds of times. Hundreds. How about she couldn't remember 39 times? Well, each one of those 39 was a lie, right? Equal justice also means the same rules for Wall Street. The Obama administration never held Wall Street accountable. We will also police our streets, have to make our streets safe. I want every poor African-American child to be able to walk down the street in peace and not be scared and not be hurt. The problem is not the presence of police, but the absence of police. We need really a great group of people to keep you safe, to keep us all safe, to keep us all safe. You know, the murder rate in the United States, I don't know if you know this, because the press never talks about it, is the highest it's been, think of this, in 45 years. Nobody knows that. The murder rate, highest it's been in 45 years. I will invest in training and funding both local and federal law enforcement operations to remove the gang members, drug dealers, and criminal cartels from our neighborhoods. The reduction of crime is not merely a goal, it's a necessity for all of us. We will get it done. The war on police urged on by my rival is really reckless. What's happening is reckless and dangerous and puts African-American lives at risk. And all you have to do is look at the statistics and you see what's happening. We must work with our police, not against them. We're going to work together. And we're going to have an amazing relationship because, you know, everybody wants the same thing. We all really want the same thing. Our immigration, that is my policy on immigration, is so simple. We will restore the civil rights of African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and all Americans by ending illegal immigration. And yes, we will build the wall. We will build the wall. And we're going to stop the inflow, the massive inflow of drugs, which is coming into your community more than any community, but coming into your community and poisoning our youth and poisoning many other people, but poisoning our youth. I will reform visa rules to give American workers preference for jobs, and I will suspend reckless refugee admissions from terror-prone regions that cost taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars. A portion of the massive amounts of money saved by enforcing our laws and suspending refugees will be reinvested in our inner cities. Don't forget, many of these refugees are coming from Syria and other parts of the world. We don't know where they're from, who they are, what their thought process is, and they're being let in by the thousands and thousands and thousands. And Hillary Clinton wants to allow a 550% increase over what President Obama is allowing. We don't know what's going to happen. This is the story of the Trojan horse. This is your second Trojan horse guaranteed. And I can tell you right now, it's not happening, not with me. It will be ended. It will be ended. That will be ended. We have enough problems in our country. It's time to help the American citizens who have become refugees in their own country. Infrastructure will be another major goal. My contract calls for $1 trillion in infrastructure investment, of which the inner cities will be a major beneficiary. We need something done. It's so bad. You look at your roads and you look at your everything. You look at your schools and hospitals. Everything. It's so bad. I will also cancel all wasteful climate change spending from Obama Clinton. We're giving billions and billions of dollars away. We have no idea for what, and others aren't doing so much. Believe me, they are laughing. I'll tell you, that's what they're doing. They're laughing at us, including all global warming payments to the United Nations. Billions of dollars. But listen to this. These steps will save $100 billion over 8 years, and this money will be used to help rebuild the vital infrastructure, including water systems, in America's inner cities. You see Flint, Michigan, what's happened there. But it's horrible. I was there, and it is unbelievable, horrible, incompetent politicians doing the wrong thing. School choice is at the center of my plan. Such a great thing. And by the way, we're going to terminate Common Core and bring education local. So important. Look, it's not working the way it is now. I don't know why anybody would even fight it. Well, we know who's fighting it. You know that. My proposal redirects education spending to allow every disadvantaged child in America to attend the public, private, charter, magnet, religious, or home school of their choice. School choice is the great civil rights issue of our time, and I will be the nation's biggest cheerleader for school choice in all 50 states. What a difference it will make. I will also be establishing a commission which will include some of the tremendous people I met backstage today. Raise your hands. I mean, you people were thank you. So great. Some great ideas. To tackle the school-to-prison pipeline and to shut that pipeline down and to create, so important, and to create a new pathway that leads from a great education instead to a great job. That's what we want. It is. It's school to prison. My plan will also ensure funding for historical black colleges and universities, more affordable 2- and 4-year college, and support for trade and vocational education. You know, I've gone to school with many people, some totally brilliant at one thing, but not at all brilliant at others. But we all know this. We've had students that sat next to us in class, and they were terrible students, but they were phenomenal at fixing a car engine. They were phenomenal at fixing a television set. They can take it apart blindfolded. And I can't do that. And you can't do that. But they were phenomenal at fixing things. We don't do that anymore. Remember, we used to have this great vocational education? They were talented. They were great. They were horrible students, and they were great. They can take a motor, they can take an engine apart blindfolded. And we have to bring that back. And that's what they love doing. That's what they love doing. And they'll do fantastically with it. Yeah. Don't you think, right? So true. So we're going to get that going again. Finally today, my agenda includes the protection of religious liberty. It's great. Nice to see. It's very nice to see. That's something you'll never hear from Hillary Clinton, that I can tell you. The promotion of family and support for the African American church. It's been a tremendous power in this country for so many years. This is just the beginning, because I will never, ever take the African American community for granted. Never, ever. Unlike Hillary, who does nothing for the Hispanics or for the African American communities. It will be my mission to prove to this country that yesterday does not have to be tomorrow. The vicious cycle of poverty can be broken, and great new things can happen for all of our people. Great new things can happen. But to achieve this future, we must reject the failed elites from Washington who've been wrong about virtually everything happening for decades. Hey, they've been wrong about the wars. They've been wrong about jobs. They've been wrong about everything. And the question is, are they stupid? The question is, are they stupid or do they have a plan? I actually think for the most part, they have a plan, but some are not too smart. And you're right about the swamp. Say it again. Right? You better believe it. Boy, that is... That is a... You know, I said that about a week ago. And I didn't like it that much. Didn't sound that great. And the whole world picked it up. So it shows you what I know. It's crazy. Drain the swamp. We're going to drain the swamp of Washington. We're going to have fun doing it. We're all doing it together. It is funny. Funny how things like that happen. I was listening the other day to a great singer, one of the great legends, and said that, you know, certain song, didn't like it. Became one of the greatest hits of all time. So, Drain the Swamp, I didn't like it. Now I love it, right? The people opposing us promised that passing NAFTA and opening up our markets to China would bring a new era of jobs and prosperity. That didn't happen. Instead, they brought only poverty and heartache and loss. The people opposing us are the same people who and think of this, who've wasted $6 trillion on wars in the Middle East. We could have rebuilt our country twice. That have produced only more terrorism, more death, more suffering. Imagine if that money had been spent right here in our home. We've totally destabilized the Middle East. And if you think about it, $6 trillion, and it was far better 15 years ago. So we've made it worse. We spent $6 trillion, lost thousands of lives. You could say hundreds of thousands of lives, because look at the other side also. So we lost hundreds of thousands of lives, and we're far worse off than we were when we started. Who are the people that do this? And then we end the war in such a bad way that a vacuum is formed, and we have ISIS. And that was the JV, the junior varsity. But now the JV is violent and vicious and ensconced in 32 different nations. And the one that gave us the JV now says how she's going to get rid of it. Not going to happen, folks. Just words. Just words. Just words. For 30 years she's been talking. For 30 years, only bad things happened for her. She tried to build democracy in Libya, and she failed. She tried to build democracy in Iraq, and she failed. She tried regime change in Egypt, and that was a disaster. She pressed regime change in Syria, and that failed. She tried a Russian reset that was laughed at. Laughed at. Putin. He has no respect for her whatsoever. See, I'm not allowed to say it, but I'll accept it. Who said that? A Star is Born. Now, if I said that, I'd be in big trouble. She tried an Asia pivot, and that failed. Now Hillary Clinton wants to confront nuclear-armed Russia with a shooting war in Syria that could very well lead us into World War III. For what? She doesn't get it. She doesn't understand. Remember, her top person says she has bad instincts. She's got bad instincts. And by the way, we want to be so strong. We want to make our military so strong. We want to take care of our vets better than they've ever been taken care of. Peace through strength. Peace through strength. We have no choice. These are very vicious times. This is not a time to have a depleted military. We're not going to have that. We have the greatest people in the world in the military. We're not going to have that, but we are going to take care of our vets also. Finally, our opponents passed a health care law, embraced by Hillary Clinton, over the furious objections of the American voter. And most politicians, I mean, they didn't want it, other than he lied and lied. You can have your plan, you can have your doctor, 28 different times, and enough Democrats went over to that side, they made a mistake. Obamacare is now destroying our health care system. Premiums are skyrocketing double digits and are surging by more than 100%. And think of it, in the great state of Arizona, I love Arizona, it's going up 118%. Oh, but don't worry, you're going to catch that too first. Doctors are quitting, insurers are leaving, and companies are fleeing. Every prediction they made about this law was a lie, and I said it was going to be no good before it was ever passed. If we don't repeal and replace Obamacare, we will lose our health care system forever. We have to get rid of it. It's a disaster. It's too expensive, it doesn't work, and you get no coverage. The deductible is so high that you'll essentially never use it. Now is the time to embrace a new direction. I've been very lucky, and I've led a great life. Now I want to give back to the country which I love and which has been so good to me. I just left a hotel, beautiful, beautiful building. It was the old post office on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., and it's mine. And it was just built. It's right between the Capitol building and the White House. So this way I figure I'll get to Washington one way or the other, right? Pennsylvania Avenue, yeah. But I'm very proud of it, and I'm very proud of my children because we delivered it under budget and ahead of schedule, creating thousands of jobs, including construction. It will be one of the finest hotels anywhere in the world and a great symbol for our country for many years to come. I took 2 hours to fly into Washington to cut the ribbon with my children and then jump on the plane to be here with you. Just did it. I wanted to be there for my children who work so hard on the hotel. They work so hard, in particular Ivanka in this case. And I always feel this. I feel this so strongly. Parents must stick and encourage and support their children. Would have been very bad. They work 24 hours a day, always working, and then you say, I'm not going. It takes the heart out of them, right? Don't you think? I mean, they did a great job in the hotel, and I told them so. And Hillary said, Donald Trump took time off the campaign. Can you believe it? Here's a woman goes home and she goes to sleep all the time. Think of it. She's got no energy whatsoever. Everyone's talking about the fact that I'll do 7, 8, 9 stops. I'll make 3 or 4 major speeches. Like, for instance, right after this, we have thousands and thousands of people in North Carolina coming to another one. Last night, 25,000 people. I got home at 1 o'clock in the morning. Here's a woman. She makes a speech for 15 minutes. She goes home, goes to bed. Honestly, she has less energy than Jeb Bush. I admit it. I admit it. And the reason I bring him up, he didn't sign the pledge, so he's open game. So he signed the pledge, right? But he didn't honor it. How do you live with yourself, you know? He signs a pledge, and he doesn't live. So we figure. But how do you like that? And then she has a speech today. She criticized me for going to the opening of this building, which was in and out. It's not the way life works. But I was also there for another reason. The workers. They did a magnificent job. They were there. And without them, it could never have been built so quickly or so beautifully. The rebuilding we did at the old post office is the rebuilding I want to do for our country. We're going to rebuild our country. I want to go into the inner cities, the poor rural communities, and the failing schools, and I want to work on a national plan for total revitalization. We're going to be so proud of our country again. I'm tired of the excuses from our lame politicians. I'm tired of being told that it can't be done. I'm tired of people asking Americans to defer their dreams for another day, but they really mean for many decades. Enough waiting. The time is now. There is nothing we cannot accomplish. There is no task or project too great. There is no dream outside of our reach. Everywhere I go in this country, all I see is untapped potential waiting to be set free. And maybe the greatest of that potential is in the African American communities. There's so much potential. But we will never realize that potential if we continue putting our faith in a broken political system that has let us down time and time again. We have to choose the more optimistic path. We have to choose to believe not in our politicians, not in these people that got us there, but to believe in ourselves and the future of our country. If we do that, anything is possible. So I'm asking America to join me in dreaming big and bold things for our future. Let's close the history books on the failures in Washington, and let's open a new chapter of success and prosperity for everyone, especially now, especially for our African American communities. And that's going to happen. I am very humbled beyond words to be the nominee of the party of Abraham Lincoln. A lot of people don't know that. It's the party of Abraham Lincoln. And it is my highest and greatest hope that the Republican Party can be the home in the future and forevermore for African Americans and the African American vote, because I will produce and I will get others to produce, and we know for a fact it doesn't work with the Democrats, and it certainly isn't going to work with Hillary. Together we will have a government of, by, and for the people. And we will make America great again for all Americans. Thank you very much, and God bless you, everybody. Great honor to be here. Thank you. God bless you. What an honor. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all.